Have you ever wondered why some people are instantly respected when they walk into a room, while others are constantly ignored, talked over, or taken for granted? Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Respect isn't given because you are kind. Respect isn't given because you work hard. Respect isn't even given because you sacrifice for others. Respect comes from one powerful rule that most people completely ignore. And the painful truth is this: if people don't respect you, it's usually because you unknowingly taught them not to. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. There is a golden rule that changes everything: how people treat you, how they talk to you, and how they value your presence. When you start living by this rule, something incredible happens. People who once dismissed you suddenly listen. People who once crossed your boundaries suddenly hesitate. And the strange part is, you don't have to raise your voice, threaten anyone, or prove your worth. The rule is simple. People will treat you the way you allow yourself to be treated. Let that sink in for a moment. Every time you tolerate disrespect, every time you silence your truth to keep the peace, every time you overextend yourself, hoping someone will appreciate you, you are quietly teaching others that your boundaries are optional. And here's the deeper truth most people never talk about. When you abandon yourself to keep others comfortable, people don't respect you more, they respect you less. Because real respect doesn't grow from pleasing people. It grows from self-respect. And once you understand this golden rule, you will never look at your relationships the same way again. Let's talk about something that breaks a lot of hearts. Many people believe that if they are kind enough, patient enough, generous enough, people will eventually respect them. But life has a brutal way of teaching the opposite. The truth is, kindness without boundaries often invites disrespect, and that realization hurts, especially if you are someone who genuinely cares about people. You answer every call. You say yes when you're exhausted. You forgive again and again. You keep showing up, hoping that one day people will finally appreciate your loyalty. But instead, something strange happens. The more you give, the more people expect. The more you tolerate, the more they push. Until one day you wake up and realize something painful. The very kindness you were proud of has quietly turned into permission for others to take advantage of you. Now listen carefully, because this part is important. Being kind is not the problem. Being compassionate is not the problem. The problem begins when your kindness comes at the cost of your self-respect. When you constantly ignore your own needs. When you stay silent while someone crosses a line. When you keep giving chances to people who keep breaking your trust. You are sending a silent message. A message that says, my boundaries don't matter. And people notice that. Not consciously, maybe. But emotionally, psychologically, they feel it. Respect grows in environments where people know there are limits. When someone senses that you value yourself enough to say no, something changes in the dynamic. They begin to understand that access to your time, your energy, and your presence is not unlimited. And suddenly, your kindness stops looking like weakness. It starts looking like strength, because the golden rule is not about becoming cold or distant. It's about learning the powerful difference between being kind and being available for exploitation. And once you understand that difference, you begin to reclaim something incredibly important, your dignity. And when dignity returns, respect follows. Here's something most people never realize. Every interaction you have with someone is teaching them how to treat you. Not through your words, not through what you say you deserve, but through what you consistently tolerate. People are incredibly observant when it comes to boundaries. They may not openly analyze it, but they feel it. They watch how you react when someone interrupts you. They notice if you laugh off a disrespectful joke. They see whether you stay silent when someone dismisses your opinion, and each moment sends a message. When someone speaks over you and you say nothing, the message becomes clear. When someone cancels on you repeatedly and you keep rearranging your life, the message becomes clearer. When someone disrespects you and you still chase their approval, the lesson is learned. You are not just experiencing behavior. You are training it. That idea can feel uncomfortable at first because it shifts the focus inward. It asks you to recognize the quiet ways you may have abandoned yourself just to keep relationships intact. But this awareness is not about blame. It's about power. Because the moment you understand that people learn from your responses, you gain the ability to change the entire pattern. Imagine the shift when someone interrupts you and you calmly say, "I wasn't finished speaking." Imagine the shift when someone crosses a boundary and you respond with calm clarity instead of silence. No anger, no drama, just self-respect. What happens next is fascinating. Some people will adjust immediately because they suddenly realize the rules have changed. Others may resist at first because they were comfortable with the old version of you. But either way, something powerful is happening. You are no longer teaching people how to walk over you. You are teaching them how to respect you. And the moment that lesson becomes clear, your entire presence begins to feel different to the people around you. There is a reason many people struggle to enforce boundaries, even when they know they should. It's not weakness. It's not ignorance. It's fear. A quiet, deeply human fear that whispers dangerous questions into your mind. What if they get upset? What if they stop liking me? What if I lose the relationship completely? So instead of risking conflict, you stay quiet. You smooth things over. You tell yourself it's easier to keep the peace than to stand your ground. But here's the painful irony. When you constantly sacrifice your truth to keep the peace, you don't actually create peace. You create resentment. Because every time you swallow your feelings, a small part of you feels unseen. Every time you accept something that doesn't sit right in your heart, a quiet frustration begins to grow. And over time, that frustration turns into emotional exhaustion. You start feeling drained by people you once cared about. Conversations feel heavy. Interactions feel forced. You begin to wonder why relationships that once felt warm now feel suffocating. The answer is simple. Your silence slowly taught others that your limits were negotiable. But here is the powerful truth most people need to hear. Healthy relationships do not collapse because of boundaries. In fact, they become stronger. The relationships that cannot survive your honesty were never built on real respect in the first place. And that realization can feel scary, but it is also incredibly liberating. Because when you finally stop performing for approval, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing acceptance. You start attracting people who appreciate your authenticity. And suddenly, the fear that once controlled your voice begins to lose its power. Because you realize something profound, the cost of losing yourself is far greater than the risk of losing someone else. There comes a moment in every person's life when something inside finally shifts. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's a quiet realization that grows after years of feeling overlooked, underestimated, or emotionally drained. And the realization sounds like this: I deserve better than this, not better possessions, not better status, better treatment. For a long time, many people live as if their worth must be proven over and over again. They try harder, give more, stay longer, forgive quicker. They believe that if they are patient enough, people will eventually recognize their value. But respect does not grow from endless proving. Respect grows from self-recognition. The moment you truly decide that your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being matter, your behavior begins to change in subtle but powerful ways. You stop explaining yourself to people who refuse to listen. You stop chasing validation from people who never give it. You stop shrinking your voice just to make someone else comfortable. And here's the fascinating part. When you begin to see your own worth clearly, people around you start seeing it too. Because confidence has a presence. It shows up in your posture, in the way you speak, in the calm certainty behind your words. You don't have to announce it. People feel it. The golden rule of respect starts to take shape here. The way you value yourself quietly teaches others how valuable you are. When you treat your time like it matters, people hesitate before wasting it. When you protect your energy, people think twice before draining it. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. You are finally acting in harmony with your own worth. And once that internal shift happens, something powerful begins to unfold. You stop begging for respect. You start embodying it. One of the most powerful words in the language of self, respect is a word many people are terrified to use. No. Such a small word, yet it carries enormous power. For many people, saying no feels uncomfortable, even selfish. You might worry about disappointing someone. You might fear being labeled difficult, rude, or uncooperative. So instead, you say yes, even when every part of you is exhausted. Yes to extra responsibilities. Yes to favors you don't have time for. Yes to emotional burdens that were never yours to carry. And slowly your life fills with commitments that drain your energy and steal your peace. But here is a truth that can change everything. Every time you say yes to something that violates your limits, you are saying no to your own well-being, and people notice that pattern. When someone knows you rarely refuse, they stop asking with respect and start asking with expectation. What once felt like a favor slowly becomes an obligation. That's why learning to say no is not about rejection. It's about self-preservation. When you say no calmly and clearly, you send a powerful message your time and energy have value. You don't need to justify it with long explanations. You don't need to soften it with apologies. A respectful no is enough. Something interesting happens when you begin practicing this. At first, some people may react with surprise. They might push back because they were used to unlimited access to your generosity. But over time, something shifts. The people who truly respect you will adjust. They will recognize that your boundaries are not barriers. They are signals of self-respect. And those who only valued your constant availability may slowly drift away. That might feel uncomfortable at first. But what replaces them is something far more meaningful. Relationships built on mutual respect instead of silent sacrifice. Many people believe that to earn respect, they must be louder, tougher, or more aggressive. But real respect rarely grows from intimidation. It grows from calm confidence. Think about the people you naturally respect in your life. The ones whose presence immediately shifts the energy in a room. They don't shout, they don't desperately seek attention. They don't constantly try to prove themselves. Instead, they carry themselves with a quiet certainty. They speak clearly. They listen carefully. And when something crosses a line, they address it calmly, without anger, without apology. That kind of confidence is powerful because it shows something deeper. They trust themselves. And when someone trusts themselves, others begin to trust them too. Here's where many people get it wrong. When they feel disrespected, they respond with frustration or emotional explosions. They raise their voice, argue intensely, or try to force people to acknowledge their worth. But anger often weakens the message. When emotions take control, the focus shifts away from the boundary and onto the reaction itself. Calm confidence does the opposite. When someone crosses a line and you respond with steady clarity, that doesn't work for me, or I'm not comfortable with that. Something subtle but powerful happens. The conversation changes. Your calmness communicates strength. It shows that you are not desperate for approval and not afraid of disagreement. And that emotional steadiness makes people pause, because the most respected individuals are not those who dominate every room. They are the ones who know exactly where they stand, and they don't feel the need to defend their worth loudly. They simply live it. And when people sense that quiet certainty, they begin treating you differently, not because you demanded respect, but because your presence naturally commands it. There is a moment in many relationships when you face a difficult truth. You've spoken honestly. You've set boundaries. You've tried to protect your dignity, and yet the disrespect continues. This is the moment where the golden rule of respect reveals its most challenging lesson. Sometimes the most powerful boundary you can set is the willingness to walk away. Now, walking away doesn't mean giving up easily. It doesn't mean abandoning people the moment things become uncomfortable. Healthy relationships require patience, communication, and growth. But there is a difference between a relationship that struggles and one that consistently erodes your self-worth. When someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings, ignores your boundaries or treats your presence as something disposable, they are telling you something very important about how they value you. And at that point, the real question becomes this: do you value yourself enough to stop accepting it? Walking away can feel terrifying. It may mean leaving behind familiarity, history, and emotional investment. It may even feel lonely at first. But staying in a space where you are constantly diminished is far more damaging, because every day you remain in that environment, a silent message forms inside you: maybe this is all I deserve. And that belief slowly chips away at your confidence, your voice, and your identity. Walking away interrupts that story. It says something powerful to yourself and to the world: my dignity is not negotiable. And here's something remarkable that often happens when people witness this courage. They begin to see you differently, not as someone who tolerates anything, but as someone who understands their value. And people naturally respect those who refuse to remain where they are not respected. Once you start living by this golden rule, valuing yourself, setting boundaries, speaking your truth, and walking away when necessary, something extraordinary begins to happen. Respect doesn't just show up in one corner of your life. It ripples outward, affecting every relationship, every interaction, every decision. People start noticing the shift, even if they don't consciously understand it. Colleagues pause before interrupting you. Friends hesitate before taking advantage of your generosity. Even strangers intuitively sense that your presence is not something to be disregarded. And here's the beauty of it: this ripple doesn't just change how others treat you. It changes how you treat yourself. When you honor your own boundaries, your confidence deepens. Your choices align with your values. You begin to live with a sense of integrity that is impossible to ignore. You no longer compromise your peace for approval, and that calm certainty radiates to everyone around you. But there's another layer that most people overlook. By modeling self-respect, you teach others how to respect themselves. People learn from your example. They see that dignity is worth protecting. They see that strength is not in dominance, but in quiet, unwavering clarity. Your courage inspires them to set their own boundaries, speak their own truth, and honor their worth. The ripple spreads because respect is contagious. Once people witness someone living authentically and unapologetically, they subconsciously absorb the lesson. And here's the final transformative insight. When you fully embody this golden rule, respect stops being something you seek. It becomes something you naturally command. Your presence, your choices, your integrity, all of it quietly teaches the world how to treat you. And the people who truly belong in your life will adjust. They will rise to meet the standards you silently uphold. Because respect, once earned through self-respect, is never forgotten.